Hi class, welcome to week 4. You have a pretty big week this week, so I want to get you started right away. Your weekly outline is going to look very similar to your other chapters. We're going to have learning objectives, and so those are going to guide you through studying the material. You do have your first exam next week on chapters 1 through 4. Here is your Learn Smart, always due by Wednesday night, just like you would expect. And then your videos to help support the information that you're learning, along with the activity, which is solidifying all the information you just studied. That's really important for you to focus back in on for testing purposes. The big thing I want to point out to you this week is your Team Wiki. And so for those of you who have not completed a wiki, you're going to find it right here. And first of all, the very first thing you might want to do is to learn how to do a wiki. And so you're definitely going to want to watch this tutorial. For this assignment, you are going to edit your wiki, which I'm going to walk you through. This Eat Clean Live Dirty assignment. And so here you will find that you have a podcast. You can download this on iTunes. There's multiple ways you can listen to this podcast. And so feel free to do that in any way you want. You're going to want to listen to this podcast with pen and paper. That's the point. It is pretty lengthy. It's about 2 hours. You don't need to start the podcast until about 10 minutes in because Rich Roll is just kind of talking about other things and Robin is not there yet. And so you want to make sure that you take the time. We'll actually spend a fair amount of time on the microbiome. And so this is going to really give you a strong foundation for that. The best way to study this podcast is to complete a concept map while you are listening. And so a concept map, this is one example. This could also be headers. And so what I've given you here is something for you to print out and write on while you are listening. And so the idea is you have these main topics: microbiome, pregnancy, early childhood, prebiotic, probiotic, nutrition, antibiotic, and things that are interesting to you. When you complete your wiki, these are the 5 categories that you are going to be filling out. And so what's going to be easy for you is to listen to the podcast and be taking notes. And I've divided the notes out to make it simple for you to take those notes on. You are then going to transcribe those notes. Do not upload a PDF. Do not upload a copy of your notes because then your team cannot edit your content. The purpose is that you actually create these different headers, different sections inside your wiki. Okay, and then you're going to answer a series of questions. And so let me show you what that looks like. You're going to select your team. And now, of course, I'm the faculty member, right? So I don't have a team, but all of you have one team. You already know this from your first introduction. Let's say I'm team 1, and I'm going to go to my group wiki. Here is what you're going to do. You need to have created a concept map in here by end of day on the 12th. After your entire team has contributed to this concept map, and again, in grading, I'm looking for equal participation. So if you're only adding one thing to each category, then you're not going to score very well compared to someone else who really filled it in. So that also prompts you to not do this last minute. I will go through. That's the magic of a wiki, is I can see what everyone does at all periods of time. And that's a good way to really grade group work, right? Because everyone's fear is group work is going to be all one person and everyone's going to get credit. And you can't do that with a wiki. So you are going to create the concept map in here. Best way to do that is you're going to edit the wiki, and then I would put in headers and then fill in everything you want to fill in under each header. And then by the end of day on Wednesday, you should have a pretty big concept map with everyone having participated. Between Thursday and Sunday, you're each one of you, now this is an individual piece, going to answer these questions within the wiki. Okay, so just to give you a sense of what this might look like, this is a smaller team. But you can see they created each area and then filled in all of their stuff and then answered questions. Okay, and so that's what this is going to look like. You want to make sure that you're on top of this. This can't be done late, and so you need to know that if you haven't completed your concept map by the end of day on 12th, you won't get credit for that portion. And you'll have a hard time getting credit for the questions because then I don't know that you actually did the work to answer the questions. Okay, and so again, if you're going back here to your weekly folder, Your weekly folder outlines everything that you need. So a few other things in here. Watch the tutorial. That's why it's there. Here is another thing that would be actually a 5-minute prep for those of you who are not really familiar with the microbiome. This is going to be really helpful prior to the podcast. And again, since you see this hyperlink here, you know that there are a few questions associated with this. If you want to test yourself, you can. Okay, here's the concept map that you'll need because these are the categories you'll be filling out. This is just an example of sometimes when people like to write their notes, sometimes they like to write them in columns like I just showed you. And sometimes people like to create maps, right? And that's another idea of a way you can take a note. And then here's your team. And so you want to get going on this right away. Again, remember that podcast is a couple hours long. I think you'll find it super, super fascinating. It's really cool information. She's actually one of my favorite people on the planet, probably when it comes to microbiome. And so I think you'll really enjoy it. All right, well, have a great week 4. Let me know if you have questions, but don't ask questions until you've watched the tutorial. Have a great day.